Sure you don't love
The rest of us.
go by and
Good morning, everyone. We'll get started with the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Full.
Morning, Commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to say a prayer. There is a Bible verse that says, "The place that you go, seek its welfare and pray for it, for in its welfare is your welfare." So, Lord, we lift up Linn County. We pray for your blessing, your prosperity, your strength to come and move within it. We know that as it succeeds and prospers, it'll affect us as individuals. We just pray, Lord, you would bless these commissioners, give them wisdom, give them courage. Let righteousness and truth and integrity just be upon them. Thank you for their service. We just pray you'll bless the undertakings today and cause your name to be lifted up and honored in all that's done. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I've read the minutes. I make a motion to approve them as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Bills for the week. Those are quite a bit higher than normal, but that's our bond payment for half the year, and they're good.
Pay request in this bill.
No, it'll be in next week's claims.
All right. Make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $814,162.69. That's my motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I did have a copy of that pay request from River City if you wanted to go ahead and approve it for next week's, or if you want to do it next week when we have the bills. Either way, it doesn't matter.
Pay request 404,000.
404, 828, 51.
So on the schedule of values, you're anticipating that we're 98% or 98.63% complete?
Yes.
On the retainage on this project, is it just a year?
Is it just a what?
Is it being held for a year, the retainage?
No, the warranty year, from substantial completion. I mean, retaining it once we're done, we'll see.
You'll submit for the retainage?
We're only retaining on everybody. Leverage.
Right.
For example, we excavate, we'll then probably about $40,000-$50,000. And I know Bill's been trying to get them out of here to, since all that's curbs and such are done, get wrapped up on the topsoil and get everything final seen. So, good leverage we have.
So as far as like the landscaping and like inside the islands or whatever you want to call them out there, do you guys have anything for that, or
It's just topsoil.
it's just topsoil? what'd you want to do? Approve this for?
If you're ready to approve it, because we always have you do a separate motion to approve that. And since we had it this week, even though it won't be in the claims run until next week, it was just ready for your approval if you're ready to do that.
I'll make a motion that we approve pay application 21 to River City in the amount of $404,828.51.
I'll second it. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I have the
Oh, no, you're good, you're good.
sheriff's report.
Total prisoners 29, in-house 20, farmed out 9, I released 4 this past week. 911 calls 103, total calls for service 294, total civil service papers served 5, been inspections 16. New cases opened 8, cases closed 8. Vehicle crashes 7, bailiff activity 77, 7 livestock out.
My Joe's full.
River City, you want to come ahead? You done, I guess?
Yeah, that's all I've got for now.
Here, you want you? Oh, I didn't know if you wanted.
I think Bill's still en route. I know we're supposed to meet with you guys today at 11 o'clock. The little tour, is that correct?
Yeah, 11 o'clock, we're supposed to come see you.
Okay. We are close to, this week, we should be able to wrap up our fire alarm system. The smoke purge panel, I'm sure Bill had mentioned that to you, came in, I think we received it either June 3rd or June 6th. And they've been working on that in conjunction with Martin Mechanical and tying in the rooftop unit. So that was our last big part of the puzzle, and obviously finishing this parking lot. In fact, they finished all the concrete last week. We look at caulking the joints, doing all our joint sealant work. Next week, we want it to set up for about a week, 7 days, get it all striped. So punch list reminders have gone out to all the subs, and we are very close. As soon as we finalize our testing and we'll call commissioning on the fire alarm system, we will schedule the final inspection with the state fire marshal. So loose ends, we got a few of them out there, but not many. So that's where we're at.
Are we gonna schedule an open house for the public to come?
It's up to you.
I've been asked a few times about it.
Yeah, we probably should.
A lot of time to do ribbon cutting. I mean, that's,
At one point, someone from Goldberg had contacted us, called, asking for a plan. So if you are interested, they'll organize it for you. You tell them you want to do it, what you want.
Be ready tomorrow?
tomorrow. That's a little short notice, but
We give them a little time, set up a date, whatever.
Yeah, we'll get a date and see if it's okay with you guys.
okay.
Okay.
Any idea, I know it's guesswork, when the fire marshal's inspection might come? Or?
He has been put on notice. He is waiting on a phone call from us. He's going to work with us. But we do not want to make that call till we have
Okay.
checked, double checked everything that Apple and Martin Mechanical is doing out there. So
The chief judge was hoping they could move the last week of June, but if,
that's, I'm hoping so too.
okay.
So
So we'll tell them that's still a possibility.
that's, yes.
All right.
But we're not gonna make that call till we know it's
I
gonna,
got
it's working. So we don't want to waste his time and make him mad.
You guys got any questions?
Nope.
you. I don't.
Thank you, Warren.
Thank you.
AMR,
Warren, you know we're coming over there today, right?
Yeah, 11 o'clock. All right, see you.
Good morning, Virgil Swansell with AMR. And our weekly report, we had one call in Greeley with no transport. Looks like Lacine had 7 with 4 transports. Linn Valley had 2 and transported both of those. Mountain City had 2 with 1 transport, and Pleasanton had 8 calls with 3 transports last week. So the only other things going on, AMR, we had another one of our medics resign this week. So we have some interviews today. Hopefully we'll bring some people in. But as of now, we're good staffing wise.
Getting a lot of overtime, man.
Yeah, moving and yeah, or folks moving out of the area, so they have to leave. So as of now, we're getting it all covered with overtime, but hopefully we'll get someone hired today.
Good. Thank you. Let's see, Randy.
Morning, Commissioners. Our weekly breakdown, we had 6 incidents, brings our total to 249 for the year. Just kind of update, supposed to be hot, kind of obvious, and then possible storms later in the week, but other than that, that's all I have.
You guys got anything? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Missy?
I really don't have a whole lot to report, other than we're continuing our health promotions. One will be this Friday, our next one, the Dad's Diapers and Donuts. So then we have our Children's Health and Safety Fair and Community Baby Shower next Friday evening at the church. So just continuing to track COVID cases. That's about it.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thanks.
Jessica, you got something here?
No.
Okay.
Good morning, Jessica Hightower, Economic Development. I've got Sean's budget sheets if you would like to go through that today. We can call him on the speakerphone if you have questions or anything for him. Maintenance, Public Works is starting to get requests for helping departments move over to the new building when that's ready. So we'll be helping with their moving furniture and all of their stuff when it's ready to move in over there. Mike is here this morning. He has an update about a truck, I think the semi. We can wait a minute for him. For the airport, the grant application that we talked about last week, I got that submitted last Tuesday. And we should know one way or another by the first week of July. So hopefully.
That's for the plan, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yes, so that would be to develop a business plan to help, shape future development and operating procedures for the airport. I also sent out last week the RFP for the Phase 1 environmental study for the industrial parks. I have had 4 companies respond and say that they are planning on submitting a response to the RFP by the due date. So that's, I was pretty excited that we had 4. That's pretty much all I've got other than Sean's budget stuff. Do you want to go ahead and look at those?
You guys want to look at it now? On the budget?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
We got time. Where's your budget at?
Well, that's why we sent out the RFP last week. The top sheet is the cost summary by task that Joyce has been pulling. This is for May. If you want that. So Sean he wrote out explanations. That's the first page of the budget packet that I gave you. He wrote out explanations for each of the funds. And then the budget requests are after that. Gary, do you want a copy?
Sorry.
Do you want a copy of the Public Works budget?
Why is there such a raise in commodities on the,
I cannot answer your questions. If you, we can call Sean on the speakerphone if you have questions. I don't want to try and get it wrong, so.
On which budget are we?
on the noxious weed?
He mentioned that in his narrative. Did you see that?
Here's the pest control.
He mentioned,
Pest controls, I didn't see that. I didn't.
he mentioned that the chemicals are increasing in price. Fuel is a big issue for them. And then the adding the pest control.
Pest control, good, okay, I didn't see that.
After this, how many budgets do you have left to do?
I have 2 budget funds. I don't know what Sean has left. I
know he's got the area on aging.
I think there's a senior center budget.
Yep.
I think that might be his only one.
Yeah.
Hope to have the airport to you next week, and then probably economic development will be the week after I get those RFPs back.
just looking at my list where we're comparing all of them, I don't see anything more than the elderly left that'd be Sean's.
I can't see them wanting more. You have more too, Dave? Today?
I've got 4 more that I'm bringing today, and then I've still got several for that. And other than that, we're still waiting on attorney. GIS, IT, Fraser, health. I think that's about it, except for the one she mentioned and what I've got. And I've got courthouse and contingency and windfall and employee benefits. I've still got a bunch of work to do on them. Have not heard anything from the Fair Association. Last year, they agreed to cut theirs down quite a bit because they said they didn't need as much as we'd been levying for them. And I don't know, Gary, you heard anything from?
I haven't, but I'll reach out to them.
Because we'd been running like, oh, what, close to $500,000 for a couple of years. They cut it down to 0.2 mils last year and said that was still plenty for what they needed.
Right. I think they've got some projects going out for this next year, so they may be coming back up a little bit. They're authorized up to $1 million.
Right.
It's not really part of our budget, but we approved the levy.
Yeah. So in the time we've had that levy, we haven't ever gone over $500,000 for them.
Yeah, I don't have any questions on this. Make a motion, we tentatively approve the road and bridge fund for $4,667,000, as well as the general fund for planning and zoning for $98,500, as well as the proposed budget for the park fund, $354,000, and the custodian fund for $139,000, the noxious weed fund for $170,500, and the solid waste management budget for $720,600. This is my motion to tentatively approve those.
I'll second it. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did you vote?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I put these in that spreadsheet I do to compare, so I've got the amount of change on each one if you'd like to hear that in dollars, or do you want to go through those? Or
Sure, go ahead.
the road bridge was a $73 decrease, which looks like basically just evening it out to round numbers. Planning and zoning is a $6,000 decrease. Park was a $25,500 increase. Custodian was a $20,500 increase. Noxious weed, $26,200 increase. And solid waste was $76,000 increase.
Have we heard anything on the contract out there at the lake?
No.
No?
It's only been going on 2 years,
No.
At least.
It's still at Evergy's legal department, so.
yeah. Probably never gonna see it.
Yeah, don't be pessimistic.
No, that's true.
Mike has he's got to talk about a truck today. So I'll let him go ahead.
Got an update on our semi up at Inland. Number 1 and number 2 cylinders are pitted and rusted. Number 6 sleeve isn't sealing, so they're suggesting an end frame rebuild, which be about $24,000. And that comes with a 1-year parts and labor warranty and a 1-year hard parts warranty, which is your sleeves, your pistons, rings. Or we can stay with just, we can fix the hit or put the hit on, and we can continue to let water in and burn water through the engine, and it'll just only get worse.
You want to do that?
Is this the semi we bought a few years ago, 2 years ago?
Yep.
And I'm sorry, Mike, what was your estimate on that?
24,000.
24 even? Okay.
Was this due to any maintenance that we didn't do?
No, because this is all internal. It's all internal. So by the sounds of it, it's been taking water on for quite some time for the cylinders to be actually pitted and rusted. So we may have gotten it like that. I don't know. Who knows? But that's just what they found after they pulled the head, and there was no bent valves or nothing. So that was good, but they still sent the head off to have it checked. But they're suggesting in an M frame.
Yeah. Well, there's no other choice then.
Pretty much not.
So I'll make a motion. We go forward and pay for the estimated cost to repair the truck of $24,000. Just make it $25,000 for the truck that's at Inland.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all.
You got any more bad news?
Not yet. It's still early.
You work on the Taylor Road yet?
No, not yet.
Can you?
We'll get to it.
I talked with Harry last week about Danny's question as far as 3 guys going out and cleaning ditches. As far as Harry mentioned that we took the wheel loader out with the blade and a couple dump trucks. What's your idea on that?
That's honestly the easiest, is throw it all up in the road and go out and pick it up and haul it off.
Get a landowner to take it, or?
Yeah, we're a landowner to take it. I mean, most of them are more than happy to take dirt, but that's,
Got a place you want to start over there?
that's honestly the easiest way to go about it. I mean, like Harry said, you can throw it up in the road and build your roads up, but the first rain you get, you're gonna have more calls than you want to deal with, because that road's gonna be mud.
Do we have time to get started on the project somewhere?
It's asphalt season, right?
Do what?
In it asphalt season?
It's asphalt season.
So your crews are already done, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a good time.
Well,
Ate up about that. I guess we were doing something out on the outer road off Prescott exit, and I had 3 people call me over that. Why we're doing something on that when the gravel roads are horrible, and we had 3 dump trucks or something. I don't know. I got 3 phone calls over it, so I don't know what the plan was. I texted Sean about it, but we didn't really talk much about it. So I don't know. They were pretty upset that there was one house on the road, and we were out there doing something on it, but the gravel roads aren't getting touched.
All right.
that's
There's always somebody mad.
oh yeah, you can't please them all, but that is an outer road, and it has to stay asphalt,
Yeah.
because you can't have gravel next to a major interstate. So I mean, they have to upkeep it.
And we've been doing this for years and years, and we haven't come up with a better way that, we're in asphalt season, everybody has to pull but nobody's ever done it in the winter as far as go to ditches. So maybe that's the time of the year that you can do some of that.
Well,
Along with just in general, we're talking about getting really
Right.
serious about some of the ditches.
Anymore, it seems that your fall and once we're done with asphalt, you've got pretty good weather all the way through December anymore, it seems like.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we get,
Thing about it is, if we pick the one spot, though, and do just one, one small area, just a little bit as we can
right.
with the ditches. Because I'm seeing improvements in the ditches.
And a lot of it is due to your right of way fences,
Right.
10 foot off the road. Well, that ain't enough room to hardly get a blade in there to keep them ditches maintained.
You got a pretty big brush pile up at 1500 road to get rid of, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something by there that,
Yeah.
they're gonna let you burn it there?
Oh, I thought that was part of the agreement.
That's what I thought when I.
We could, as long as we burn it and we'll put the fence back, but, so.
Okay.
You got anything else?
No.
All right. Have a good week.
You too.
I'm going to try.
That's all on my list for today. Do you guys have anything for me?
Enough bad news from you.
Thanks, Rick. Have a good day, guys.
You got the sheriff coming at 10:05.
We can go ahead and get into the budgets I have if you're ready for them.
Sure. We're in a budget
Thank you
mood.
for it. So, kind of briefly touched on the area or the elderly site over there in Pleasanton, and they're still working on it with Rick, getting all the numbers together. And I think they took like a 2 hour, they had to go through it. It took them about 2 hours to go through it. But then on Friday night, I got a phone call late in the evening, and the AC, one of the AC units again was making noise over there. So I ran over and pulled the disconnect on it, and then Jason Weber went over and looked at it, and I guess we're still having issues with it. So we might be replacing another AC unit on the outside, or condenser, whatever they're called.
Yeah, and the AC unit in the Bunker Hill, whatever it is, it went bad for the elderly.
I did.
No. What did I say, AC?
Yeah.
I meant the dishwasher, so they're getting a new dishwasher for it.
So I brought you 4 budgets today. Got the commission, counselor, clerk, and election budgets. And I don't know, Gary, if you had a chance to look at anything this weekend on the counselor budget, if it
I
makes
think
sense
that's-
where I went there.
I think that's just about right. We're gonna have a lot less next year than we did this year because we're not gonna have the building program
So
to
the
deal with.
Yeah, the commission budget, I decreased by $4,000 down to 81,000. Looking back at it, I had more budgeted this year for payroll than we needed. And I think probably what happened on that is when we were talking cost of living, I added it in that one last year, and then you guys decided not to take it.
Right.
So that made some of the difference. And then I adjusted some of the line items a little bit to get them closer to in line with where we've been going on things. So I was able to knock that one down 4,000. So it would be 81,000 for the budget request. The counselor budget, that was where I put in an extra line there that says building project under contractual. I did leave some in there for next year in case there were things to wrap up on extra time on that. But overall, I was able to decrease that budget $15,000. And with that, this year, we'd already had some on the building project that Gary billed for, and I left another 25,000 in there for later this year that he'd fill with. So I didn't know for sure where we'd come out on those things, but thought we could definitely knock some off of that anyway. And my clerk and election budgets, those kind of go together partially because the payroll out of my office is split between clerk, election, and courthouse. And I do not have the courthouse budget left or with me yet. But behind those two budgets, I gave you a printout of what I calculated on the salaries for the office and where I got those numbers. So on the clerk budget, I ended up with an $800 increase. That really 1,000 of that was in payroll, and that was just assuming some step increases. So other than that, I had adjusted some other items down a couple $100 and came out with an 800 increase. I do have a little more in there for training and mileage next year, and some of our license fees and subscriptions and phone bills I've got going up. We're just seeing increasing costs on some of those things. Insurance I bumped a little bit too. I don't know that we'd need that one for sure, but just to be safe, I put it in there. I gave you a general ledger printout on what we've spent so far this year on the clerk budget, in case there's anything you wanted to look through and question on that. I did make one note down at the bottom that when I was going through that, I found that there were a couple of coroner charges that got billed to clerk budget instead of courthouse, so they really shouldn't have been in there. However, they're both in the general fund, and in the big picture, it doesn't really matter, but that's bumping my contractual up a little bit so far this year. The election budget kind of went through the same type of thing. The payroll part of it, I've got going up just a little over $1,000. I did bump up the programming cost a little for next year and the election equipment maintenance. Election workers and buildings, that's the building rental we do for elections. I dropped a couple thousand off of that for next year. That one is one where if we don't need a primary next year, that number will come down quite a bit on what we actually have to spend. But we never know until a month and a half before the election on those odd numbered years if we're going to have a primary or not. So I've got to have enough in there to cover it, but I may not need to spend it all.
You have to rent those buildings?
Several of them, yeah. Some of them we use are county buildings, but then we pay some rent on some of the others. I think where I have postage, I think is just in my contractual line. And again, for next year, depending on if we need primaries or not, that'll make a big difference. It also will make a difference on the postage in that one because next year's elections never have as big a turnout as we do in even numbered years. So we won't be mailing as much out. Overall, I just came down a couple $100 on that budget to 102,500. So that's, and then I think I included a general ledger printout with that too to show you what's been spent so far this year. So that's the ones I had prepared for today. Be happy to try to answer any questions you've got about them.
When are we going to try to put all this together, figure out where we're at?
I'd originally told people I'd like to have everything turned in to you by the end, last Monday of this month, which is 2 weeks from today. And that gives me a couple of weeks to get it all pulled together in the budget form and know where we're at on levies and where we need to look to make some changes to come in where we want to be.
David, while they're thinking about this, I talked to the chairman of the fair board, and they do have a number of projects set up for this year. They were hoping to go back to a $500,000 levy, although I don't know how the cap will affect that.
Yeah, it's part of the county budget because it is county-wide, so it would be part of our limit.
Okay.
Overall.
So I didn't know if it would be separate or part of ours. If part of ours, we could probably handle that, but
well, possibly. It
maybe
depends on where we're at on.
Anyway, they understand that that could be an issue, and if it is, then they'll go back to the drawing board and reassess how they're going to spread out their projects.
Yeah, it just makes a big difference on where we come out on everything when I get them all in the budget form.
I answered.
You answered?
I do with a head shake.
Oh, good. I thought you couldn't hear.
I can't. You gonna keep studying that or you go all right?
I'm okay.
All right. Scratching his head. You know you gotta attend till they approve it. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the budgets of the commissioners, 81,000. Let's see, the counselor for 158,110. Clerk's budget for 151,150. General fund election for 102,500. That's it. That's my motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just so you guys would have a little information on mine, along with those salary projections I did two cuts of them there. The
I
first
see.
one was with no cost of living, and the second one I put in a 5% just to see what it would do to the salaries. So I have not done that for salaries across the whole county yet, but I did do it on my office just to see where we're at.
And that's what it would increase?
That's, yeah, so this one, if you look at the 2023 budget, there would be with no cost of living, and then if we did
Here.
5%, it'd be up to here. That'd be the difference on, that column would be the amount that was added for a cost of living, which on mine, it's a per pay period thing, since I'm
gotcha,
salaried.
okay.
On the others, it's an hourly thing put in there. Now, once we get everything in, I will do that with all the budgets, so we'll see how it affects the whole county.
What'd you say the average, 8%?
Yeah, the CPI for, I think it was 12 months that ended in March was like 8.5%. And that's nationwide, so getting specific to Kansas, I have not looked for those numbers yet, but
Right.
fuel and everything else you buy is up. So
Way up.
You have anything else, David?
I think that's really all I had for you today.
We got anything?
I've got a couple little things here. You asked me to work on a, request for proposals or bids on the old jail. Of course, we're looking down the road quite a ways yet. One of the things that came up as I was working on it is that tower. We're gonna have to dismantle that tower. Now, the question is, are we gonna hang on to it and try to use it somewhere else? Or are we gonna make it available for somebody to dismantle and salvage?
Didn't sound like Chris cared about keeping it.
He said he thought we might be able to use it sometime in the future, but he didn't have any idea when or where. Of course, I've got a whole barn full of stuff like that.
I know. Everybody does.
Was
So,
taking that down not part of anything with the projects?
I'm sorry?
Taking it down, is it not part of the projects?
It's, no, nothing about that building is part of this project, is part of this project.
Oh.
The original bid it was, but when we were building the building over there, but that was a part of that part.
Nothing we'll ever use it around for here. Anybody knows, so.
PB antenna is 150 foot tall.
So what I need you to do is think about, because that'll impact how we structure our bid process, I think.
I would be in favor of just having somebody dismantle it and taking it.
Letting it go salvage.
Whoever tears the building down might want it anyway.
Well, that's the reason I said that'll impact how we do our bid thing, because that might be the thing that would motivate somebody to do the demo. Because I don't know how much actual salvageable material there is in the building. There's some probably, but if they could do the demo for the tower, in effect, that might be worth something to them.
As long as they tear the jail down first.
Well, we'd have a contract.
There we go.
All right, so I'll approach it, that way. And then we are working on a contract with Getter Farms on that, on moving that road out there. We still getting a few details tweaked out, but that was really all I had for you today.
Guess just one other bit of information for you. Last week, you approved a hire at the park for a part-time person. And at that time, she had said she would take the job at that rate. She called back in later in the week and has accepted a different job and is not going to take that one. So Morgan was going to open that back up for applications again.
Okay. You guys got anything else?
No, you want to go home? Take a break?
Can't till
You
10.
sit around here and look at each other or what?
Motion to take a 15-minute break till the sheriff gets in.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
All right. Now, Dr. Folk can tell me what I really need to do.
So you guys will not budget for next year, so.
We did. And actually, the city, most of the city, I think, got theirs together. Really?
Yes, I think they'll, so you said.
And I think some counties, well, he made the go here today.
welcome back. Go ahead, Sheriff.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kevin Friend, Linn County Sheriff. I know we're a couple minutes early, but I'd start if you're ready for me, so. Just kind of want to break into our budget this year, of course. First few pages in there kind of tell you who we are and what we do, but the important piece of it starts on the summary of budget items for 2023. If you'll look at the last couple of pages of the packet that I provided you there last week, those last 2 pages are the proposed budget for 2023 as to where we're at. I hope that you'll be happy with the fact that most of our line items have remained the same. The only line items that are different, well, actually a couple. Contractual is a little bit different this year, but one thing we were able to do within that contractual budget, within that area, is we've been able to reduce the out-of-housing inmate costs. We kept $100,000 in there for this year. Right now, today, we have about 9 farmed out, so we're looking at, several thousand a month that we're currently paying out. But as soon as the Justice Center opens, of course, that line item will drastically change. So I've reduced the line item for the out-of-county housing, $45,000, and we would say why. With that line item, because we're going to have 96 beds over here at the new facility. But my fear is that throughout the year, we could be having conflict inmates, and a conflict inmate would essentially be an inmate who, well, quite frankly, could be a family member of some of my staff. It could be an individual where Linn County is the victim of an incident, and those inmates we would generally house outside. One thing I would comment on that budget, that $55,000 budget, is that would be one line item that certainly we could probably dwindle down a little bit more. Said no sheriff ever. But I think what we could do, I have 4 inmates planned for conflict inmates. I don't know that we'll reach that level. Statistically, we could have 2 easily, but that would cut that. We could cut that pretty much in half. I think you'll see the overall raise of the budget from year to year, 22 to 23. My proposal contains a 2.1% increase. So with cutting out $45,000 from that inmate housing line item, what it allows us to do is we have to add in the new structure of the Justice Center. And when I say that, we have new things like boilers, generators, and things like that will have contractual funds that'll be spent. So when we look at, say, for instance, the generator maintenance budget, those generators, 2 generators on a maintenance plan are going to run us about $5,000 a year. With the folks who have installed the large generator and installed the panel systems for all generation for the building, they bid me a $19,000 maintenance fee, but that would take us for 5 years out. So if we didn't do a 5-year contract, say, on their maintenance fee, we would increase 5% per year. But if we do a contract, we would be, we'd be saving several $1,000s over a 5-year span. And I think something also to keep in mind is that that would be in this year, the 2023 budget proposal, but not in the 24, 25, 26, or 27. We would renegotiate in 27 for 28. So that would, $19,800 would be dropping off next year to further decrease that line item for the contractual need. Our biggest increase, and I think you'll probably see it countywide, statewide, and federally, is our fuel budget. And I would suggest, when I budgeted fuel, I worked my numbers probably 20 to 35 days ago, somewhere in that time frame. We were about 60, 70 cents under where we are today. I budgeted 30,000 gallons of fuel, which is our normal usage for the year, at $4.99. I don't think that's going to be sufficient. And I hope if there is one situation where you guys look hard at it and think about where costs are going currently, that you would think about that fuel budget. And you'll see it's a dramatic increase even at $4.99 per gallon. So in our fuel, we were at an $85,000 budget, and my proposal, that was for 22, and we will go over that this year. And in 23, I'm looking at 149.7, and that's based on $4.99 a gallon for the 30,000 gallons. So if we were to make adjustments, which I'm sure that's highly possible, that would be one area that I would ask for the commission to look at and possibly give me guidance in that area. I don't know where we're budgeting otherwise, where Public Works would have budgeted, but fuel is killing us this year and will certainly next.
Any ideas on how to maybe get with the officers to improve?
Commissioner, we have. I send them out reminders. Right now, we are not on a restricted patrol. I have asked for the deputies to maintain and do all the conservation that they currently can. I just recently, I went to David this last month, or actually last week, and, got our fuel usage reports and put it out to our deputies to show them exactly what they were burning in consumption. And we're going to continue through that probably on a monthly basis, where I make a report for them to show them where they're at so they have knowledge as to exactly what they are. And I feel like I hate to restrict them with our call load. I hate to do that because we provide a lot of services. People call law enforcement for about everything nowadays. And, moving forward, if we, in 23, were to go over $4.99, we may well do that in 22. But I think it's going to be very problematic in getting our cars around the county. And if we have to go to a restrictive, whether it's a mileage restriction or what, we're going to have to triage calls as we do now. A lot of the deputies are handling some calls by telephone rather than responding if they're a non-emergency or a very low-level call. Some calls you absolutely have to go to. So
I was more referring to, and this not particularly just you, but you're Linn County, but all officers seem like they pull up in front of a store or something or whatever, and they leave their car running for a half hour.
Yeah, we've addressed that. Shouldn't be happening unless.
I'm not saying.
Yeah, the only car that we would have that's going to run a full 12-hour shift would be a canine car, and it's to keep cool for the dog. Nowadays, our computer equipment, it's a lot more, has the ability to hold heat better. So, hopefully, I don't know. I think most of our guys are doing that, are shutting their cars down when they can because they realize the crisis that we're in with our fuel consumption. It's been talked to several times. I think even I sent one out to the electeds here a while back as to what I was telling the deputies about consumption, just so you folks would have realize what we were doing to conserve. And the other line item that would see an increase, and this would be contained within that 2.1 increase in the totality, would be the transport line item. And one thing I would like for the commission to think about on that situation is when we're transporting inbound to our facility, those would be some of the costs that would be recouped through the charge to other counties, the state, or the federal government for inmates incoming. I brought that line item up from $5,000 to $25,000 because a lot of that line item as well is fuel when we start talking about the transport of inmates. But based on what I believe the per diem rate per inmate to transport, say, from the Kansas City, Kansas Federal Court back to Linn County, I think that could happen periodically, or the transport from Linn County back to the Kansas City, Kansas Federal Court for the release of a federal inmate. Should we gain that contract, we would always take those inmates back to the jurisdiction for the release, so they wouldn't be released here.
And just to remind the public over here that you anticipate as part of the contract, if we get a federal contract, that they'll be paying for the per diem or whatever for our officer as well as the fuel.
That's right. So what we currently in negotiations, and when I say negotiations, it's absolutely not concrete. So what we would realize is that they would be paying, because they have a requirement for 2 armed transport officers that would take the inmates back to and fro. And they would pay those rates at 1.5 times their salary. And then we would also receive some sort of a stipend for mileage, but that hasn't come to fruition yet in a contract. I know that it is moving forward. I just heard from the Marshal's Service last week. I met with them at 11 o'clock last Monday, and they are moving that contract forward. It's now at the Department of Justice for approval for those items, and they would be giving us our per diem rate for the inmate. We have also negotiated with several other county jails as to holding inmates, and those negotiations are pretty, they seem pretty good at this time. I mean, I could see 2 counties probably coming on board for holding. We just have to get into some negotiations for pricing there. So I think the thing to consider is that, you know, if we are funded, I think what we can do is we can put quite a few inmates in the jail and start bringing some money back to the general fund. And in the resolution that Counselor Thompson provided last week, you know, it gives us the ability to do that at the rates that are appropriate for those jurisdictions, because, you know, it may sound unfair, but when we look to Anderson County, Bourbon County, and Cherokee County, those folks have helped us over the years in holding our inmates at a very reasonable rate, and we would return that to them, of course, because we'd be reasonable, very reasonable with them. When it comes to larger jurisdictions who are simply looking for bed space, that would be a little bit different approach to the negotiation and contract to hold their inmates. There would be a higher rate, more at today's standard, if you will. In a lot of the other, in the jurisdictions who have assisted us over the years, of course, we would like to be able to repay them because, quite frankly, I know we've paid them a lot of money over the years, but they've also taken care of us in our times of need when we were housing out 20, 30, 40 inmates, and that occurred at times. So, that's the only other cost that would be rising is that inmate transport. The other cost would be fuel. And then the other cost actually with commodities, that line item really did not raise because if you will recall, the MARC system, the Mid-America Regional Council, will be paying them out of the 911 tax fund. So that money for the 911 equipment and for the 911 maintenance will be coming out of the tax fund and not out of that commodities budget. But if it's kind of a this for that situation, because the appliances at the Justice Center are kind of taking the place of telephone bills, if you will. So, you know, when we start talking about boiler maintenance and things like that, we're looking at probably just over $5,000 per year in maintaining and certifying that equipment, and as well as the same with things like our water softeners, things like our generation. Those would be the bigger ticket items, which really took the place of what our 911 telephone bills were, because they were running us to the tune of about $30,000 plus a year that was coming out of the tax fund. And now, if you recall, in lieu of that, we'll be getting our maintenance and our 911 equipment through MARC, and that was well under $4,000 per month that we'd be paying them for that maintenance contract. So it's kind of an exchange for those items, which was lucky. Maybe lucky, but I think that one thing takes the other thing's place pretty much, and it doesn't really raise that contractual line item, which is important to us. So my request in my proposal is the increase, again, primarily for fuel at 2.1%. That would change our budget. Our 2022 actual would be $3,314,000 to our proposed budget in '23 of $3,386,000. And one thing I would also like to remind the commission of, as you all well know, but as much for the public as for you, last year we made a return of $246,000 to Linn County. The year before, we made a return of $171,000. So I think what that would tell my lawmakers, my legislatures, and my people is that if we don't need to expend the funds, we return them. And we've been diligent about that since I've been in office, and I'm very proud of that fact. But that's where I'm at on my proposal, and I appreciate tentative approval. And if we do have to cut in some places, I think realistically about the only place I do have is that out-of-county housing money. And that's in there essentially for a safeguard should we have an issue with a conflict.
I got you. Hey, I'm just looking at your, my question would be that you held your bailiff payroll at $96,733, same as last year. And I was wondering if you go to the federal contracts, are you going to have to, hire additional bailiffs? Has that been?
No, I don't believe I would need any more bailiff staff. The one thing, I mean, if we were looking at.
Maybe I did it wrong. Maybe I was thinking wrong for the jail,
For jailers?
Yeah.
So in my that would be in the corrections payroll.
Okay, thank you.
So corrections payroll is held at the same.
Okay.
And if you recall in our 2022 budget, we budgeted for those folks.
Right.
So actually, I am hoping to pull the trigger on my last hire right now in the facility that we're in. We're operating at 200%. Those people have all been trained and they're ready to go to the Justice Center.
So, if the jail completely filled up, which we know it probably won't right away, you have enough corrections officers for that?
I'm one short.
One short, but.
I'm one short, but I have the funding in which to
With the same
hire.
budget?
With the same budget.
Okay. And my only other question is, on the SRO payroll, is the schools, it's the same amount, but when the schools have signed saying that they will?
I'll take care of that on the income side.
Okay.
It'll
Okay.
come back
I'll
to-
show the income coming in from the school.
Okay.
Will reduce the tax
Gotcha.
amount needed. One thing I might jump into is, I think Kevin had talked to me at one point, that you've got utilities for the whole facility in your budget.
That's what I was going to ask you.
We do. We have.
We mentioned, or Jim and I talked.
It's only a $5,000 increase. that we have on there.
But we should also see some decreases on the attorney and district court utility amounts, because it's all gonna come out of his.
So-
all those are within the general fund. So big picture for the county, it really doesn't matter. I mean, we could take them all out of courthouse.
Right.
Kevin's got them in his at the moment, but as long as they're in one place in the general fund, we'll be okay on it.
Yeah, that's the only two.
So the reason, and I heard Danny say there's an increase of 5. So in 2019, we did a study. It was called an RM&P study, and that's the name of a company. In last year's budget, we included that because we did not know when we would move into the facility.
Is that the same with the food? Like the inmate?
Inmate was included in last year's budget because we did not know in 2022 when we would be into the facility. So, and thank you, David, for bringing that up. So all utilities, all maintenance for the entire facility is within this budget at this time. Now, again, we must keep in mind, we don't know what it's going to cost to air condition the thing. We're using a study from 19. So I increased that a few percent to make up for those costs this upcoming year for 23. So you probably shouldn't be seeing utilities in others' budgets who would be in the building. So another consideration, and I've talked to maintenance about it, is paper goods, like toilet paper and things like that for the facility. We've talked about whether each department buys their own paper goods or we just buy it all out of one fund. I did not include that in this budget. I think that if we currently, our paper goods probably run us, and this is going to sound crazy, but remember there's 96 inmates projected at some point in time. Our paper goods probably run us about $800 a month right now. And if we were to take on the public restrooms and all the other restrooms for paper goods and stuff like that, we'd probably be looking at about another $6,000 to $10,000 a year roughly. That'd be kind of a guess, I think. And, maintenance might be able to speak more to that, or other budgets might be able to speak more to that as well. So I don't care how we purchase them, but it's things that need to be done. So that's just a thought. If you wanted to put that all in one line item and do that out of commodities or something through my budget, that's where we would have to go. I don't care if they could order them. We usually utilize case pricing through Amazon and stuff like that because we just find we get a lot better deal than going to a brick and mortar. And quite frankly, we don't have a brick and mortar inside of Linn County. It sells cases of that kind of thing, that kind of stuff. So those would be some considerations to make. And again, I think the top on that would probably be 10,000 at tops. And we just have to kind of assess it and see where we go with that. But that's where I'm at, about a 2.1. And I would say honestly, 100% of that 2.1 is in fuel. And everything else we've kept the same.
So on your inmate supplies, I know that you're doing, it's like code or like colored, right? Your jumpsuits or whatever you call them.
That's right.
Is that all figured into your, because you don't have any increase in that, is that all figured into?
Everything in the new facility would have came through the bond.
Oh, gotcha.
So that would not be contained within this budget. And we probably, have enough clothing, mattresses, those types of supplies. I would think that we'll probably see, this year easily taken care of with what's already here. There are other things that we have to have. Our inmate supplies this year, our big purchase will be a fingerprint machine because ours is currently, we received it in 15. It was used when we purchased it. It's at end of life. So we have another one that'll be introduced to this facility in the next few months. That'll be several $1,000s coming out of inmate supply, but we kind of changed from having to buy clothing, mattresses, and items like that to be able to buy that because that stuff came with the bond. So we were fortunate on that, that we'd be able to do that. So.
And even though you're switching your medical, it's staying the same?
Oh, yeah, we've already changed medical providers. We went from Advanced Correctional Health Care to CHC SEK to a local service. What we're finding with that switch, medications are a little bit different because they own their own pharmacies. So we get the Medicaid price on medications plus a $5 fee for medications. With ACH, our expenditures in medications will be about the same. The difference is our nursing service. Contractually with ACH, we looked at about a $45 per hour fee for the nursing. And when I say fee, contract is about what it was costing us. With CHC, we'll be looking at roughly a $30 per hour fee. So we saved money and went with a local company. The biggest probably caveat to CHC is we're able to, for free, the sheriffs down the state line, we all got together. We assisted with a grant for CHC, so we get free addiction healthcare treatment. And all of that would be costs that we were paying to ACH because that wasn't available with them. So now anybody that's entering addiction care or addiction treatment that is in our facility, they receive that for free of charge because the grant pays for that.
And then your federal inmates, it's paid per diem? They pay per diem for that?
Our federal inmate, they will pay a per diem, which would include limited in-house health care for their inmates. They require a few tests that we would provide for them upon entry into our facility. And anything outside of our facility, the federal per diem, as a separate contract, they would pay for that to they'd pay that back to the Linn County General Fund, and that money would then be seen to assist with that line item if you so chose to do it.
Question, Dan?
I don't think so. Thanks for your summary. It helps out a lot.
You're welcome.
Before Kevin leaves here, you guys have been after us about mail forever.
After you about what?
About delivering mail to
We
everybody.
had $600 last month on it, I think.
I have visited with the Postal Service. We can put 3 mailboxes out here for the Sheriff's Department, District Court, and the Annex, well, Justice Center, and then possibility for the courthouse up here. If you guys want me to proceed.
I'd rather not. Or mail me in a mailbox. I'd rather for somebody to pick it up. That's me. Not me.
So, but I've looked into it and I got approval from the mail company.
Would it be just a lock, like a big lock box that?
We'd have to put different boxes up, one down here for the Justice Center, one down there for the sheriff's, one right out here for the annex.
Is it working better to go get it now than it was since I'm?
It's time. If me or Danny's plumb on the north end of the county, we gotta haul all the way back down here with fuel prices.
Yeah, that's what I don't like.
No. No, the public will still deliver the mail through the mail field like we do now.
These would be,
Would it be able to go through?
We'll have to move that drop down here.
Okay, the mailbox.
This is just.
these are what the Postal Service call relay boxes. It's a box that doesn't have an outside receptacle. They'll put the mail in it and lock it, and then
Is it locked?
your people.
It's a locked
It's a locked box.
It's a lock system.
It's like, remember those old green boxes that used to sit on the corners in the cities? You have your mailbox, then you have a green box.
Back in the 50s.
Yeah, back in the 30s and 40s when I was a young man.
It'd be like that in an apartment building or whatever.
Would you be okay with that?
Yes.
Would you be okay with that, Sheriff?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, then.
We could go get our mail when we go get our mail.
But I just wanted to bring that up. Danny's been asking and asking.
Danny, that's his thing.
If you guys are fine with it,
I'm fine with it now.
Okay, but I got approval so far through the Postal
As
Service.
long as we make sure that they are the secure relay box.
Right.
Yes.
I have to order them myself.
And our Dropbox, that's what then it will
Will
be.
be moved over.
And then, how much is those boxes?
I gotta look into them because I just got all the legwork done getting approval for the Postal Service.
We'll just take it out of your pay. We're good.
Janet says that will not work for the treasurer.
What's that?
Janet just sent me a message that will not work for the treasurer.
All right. Well, we'll find out why.
Okay.
All right.
So, but I was trying to get to that end of the point for you. and I-
Before you run away, in regard to paper goods, do you have any suggestion or thought, Rick, that?
The paper goods, I think it'd be easier for David and paperwork wise if it came out of one budget. And just because Kevin's kind of overseer of that whole building, the way I look at it. So if it came out of just one budget, we don't have to bust it up in 3 or 4 different budgets.
You want to be the toilet paper guy? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to be, but we can just include it because we have we'll do it automatic deliveries. That's how we do it. So it would just be stocked on the shelves. I mean, and otherwise, who's going to do the public restrooms? You know, do you leave it to maintenance?
Question 2.
Yeah. Right. I don't either, Lori. And that's one thing we wanted to talk about, see where we go
If we
with
could just
that.
bust it up and put it to one person instead of,
So if you're not going to do mail, you want to be the toilet paper guy?
but that way, because
Some days, Commissioner, I feel like I am the.
I know. I hear you. Let's try to work that out. We'll figure it out
I just think,
before the budget's done.
yeah, I just think we have to look at that, and I wanted to bring it to your attention, and I knew Rick
How
was
do we
going to
do
be
the
here.
courthouse? Does it?
the courthouse is normally, I take care of this building and that building.
And the other buildings are all done on their own.
Okay.
I do take care of the county attorney.
Good.
Cause it's a little small.
All right, we got other people's.
Any more questions, commissioners? Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
I'll make a motion that we tentatively approve the sheriff's budget at $3.3 million, $3,386,019.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, good. Well, Conservation District was the next one on the schedule, and District Court, and I think they're both here. So,
Come ahead and Conservation District is first, I guess. We'll let you go.
Good morning. I am Stacy Reagan, the district manager for the Conservation District, and I have with me the chairman of our Board of Supervisors, Rick Castle, and then our DC for our district, Ryan Ferguson. So do I just go through line for line?
Go ahead.
Okay. Salaries and benefits basically has just a small increase just from the previous year. We have employee benefits, of course, which is the natural health care and benefits. Travel expenses, we have increased $1,000 due to the fact that I am now able to travel for more district trainings. So we've been increasing those. Equipment and building maintenance as well, that has increased due to the fact of training. You require more equipment and stuff like that. Information and education is related to the schools, so we're hopefully going to be out getting with the schools more and using more of different equipment and stuff to train them as well. And then we have the other administrative expenses, which is kind of related to our newsletters and any type of educational pieces that we get out to the county. We're still asking for, down at the bottom, we are still asking for the same amount as we have in the previous years, the $43,000. We have been notified last week that we was getting $24,706.99 from the state, which comes basically down to the $43,000 request that we are asking for this next year. Some of those things that we use the conservation funds for, the soil conservation practices, we do the cost share funds to protect the soil resources in the county. And these practices, they also protect the water quality. That is, the protective land maintains the tax base and the tax revenues to the county. It also causes the reduction of sediment in streams from reduced erosion on cropland. From the gullies also reduces maintenance along ditches and bridge crossings, which can cost the county thousands of dollars, usually a maintenance cost. The cost share program and technical assistance provided in the earth moving projects in the county increases the jobs and the tax revenues for the county. Our county received funding for EQIP, CSP, and GCI programs this past year on approximately 3,500 acres. So that is all increasing due to the fact that we are now a lot of more people in the office. They're able to get the assistance that they're needed, so we're able to work with more of our producers. Our office also provides the planning and follow-up assistance on the CRP contracts in the county. It helps landowners in maintaining the cover on this land to provide environmental benefits. And we publish a quarterly newsletter for our producers to keep them informed on the various programs that we have and any events we have going on in the county. Some of the events that we have done this past year, at the fair we had a booth display that was put up during the fair on a current ag topic, which we hope to do again this year. We have a really cool one in mind, so hopefully it works out. Through our conservation education programs, we've had exhibitors from the Mound City Elementary, Parker Elementary, Lacing Elementary, and Prairie View High School participate in our poster, limerick, essay, and speech contest. And the county winners will go on to participate in a regional competition as well. We assisted the East Central Land Judging Contest that was held in Linn County. We were able to go out and feed them, which had approximately 250 participants. That was held in Pleasanton. We coordinated a contractors meeting for the area producers and contractors to review guidelines for moving dirt. They were actually able to come in and ask questions to one of our, to our DC and also soil conservation technician. We helped coordinate a local work group meeting with our NRCS management unit, including county officials, producers, district employees, wildlife personnel, and others to discuss any concerns with our management unit, which Mr. James was able to attend as well. We assisted the county FFA chapters and the county extension office in hosting Ag Day 2022, which had over 200 fourth grade students from the area county schools. And one of the highlights was a bee presentation that was actually given by Eric and Tina Carlson. They had actually gotten one of our awards that we presented back in January. Their two girls were able to be there too to help with the presentation. So it's fabulous if anybody ever gets to see that presentation. The educators, they were actually excited to have it back, and more schools are wanting to participate next year. So hopefully we'll have a bigger turnout. We continue to work with the Lake Region, RC&D, to help get programs in our county, such as the Adopt a Bike program. And just recently, I got a call from a place that they had like 15 bikes where they handle abused women and children and give them a place to relocate. They had about 15 bikes that they wanted to turn in, and then they wanted to go ahead and start adopting bikes for these people as well. So that's exciting to get to work with them. We do recruit students and volunteers for different projects that we work on. So that's good that we have the people that we're able to help get volunteers. Again, the amount of funding we're asking for from the county is $43,000. With all the above mentioned projects that we've worked on or working with, we hope that you will consider the district $43,000 for our 2023 budget.
Thank you for keeping your budget the same, working
You're
hard
welcome.
at it. My motion, I'll make a motion that we tentatively approve the Conservation District budget, same as last year and the year before, for $43,000.
Were you guys able to benefit off any of the COVID funds this year or last year to help you guys out?
We have not.
None?
He was going to cut you.
I just curious. You're on camera.
We see how it is.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
District Court.
We're out of money.
Good morning.
You want to introduce us to our new judge?
I am. Andrea Purvis. She had
welcome.
a soft swearing in last Wednesday on the 8th. But once we get moved into the new building, we will have a swearing in ceremony for her.
I heard Judge Harth already has you to work.
She
She
does.
does,
She jumped
yeah.
right.
He's a slave driver.
Later, she jumped in.
Yeah, she swore me in at 1 and I was on the bench at 2:15. So
There you go.
doing cases, and I had a big one the next morning, and so I am getting settled in, kind of trying to get in the groove and enjoying it. Still a little nervous, but
She's doing great. We are so happy to have one after 6 months of no judge.
hey.
She jumped into doing all the criminals. I'm sorry. I really didn't look like that.
And obviously she, I actually call her quite a bit right now, so with questions. My husband will be moving. We finally got our date for close. We've got a house here in Linn County, and we close on our house on the 15th. So we're moving the day before. So I won't be at work those days.
All right.
Have you went and checked out your new courtroom over there?
Yeah, I actually got a tour. The jail administrator and under sheriff gave me a tour, and I picked my office out. So I'm excited to get moved. Although this will be my third move in just a few months. So, where I came from has the same architects, and they just built a new jail and redid the whole courthouse. Did a full reno, and my office moved from an independent office into the courthouse.
She came from Dickinson County.
Dickinson County is where I'm from. I've been there since 2008, and I'm originally from Potawatomi County.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's beautiful here. I'm excited.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I didn't change my budget any. I kept it the same. With a lot of uncertainty I again didn't know how our utilities will be paid, gas, paper products. So that's all in question, but I just kept it the same. Our attorney fees, I haven't gotten back the approved contract, so I don't know if they're getting a raise or not. I don't know what our contracted attorney fees, but I did keep them the same as well. We have had a lot of extra paying for pro tem judges this year. And we were able to have a lot of senior judges help out with court proceedings that helped that we didn't have to pay for, but my pro tems I did. Also with the new building, there were more computers now that I had to supply a second courtroom with judges, computers on the bench there as well as for the secretary that's recording or the clerks that will be recording. I don't know.
So when we look at this budget here, it's the front page, it's $200,500.
Correct.
Is the last page, is that part of it as well?
The last page.
On this page?
That is what the state requires me to fill out.
Okay.
So the last page is what you guys give me to fill out. And then I break it down in different categories for the state. So it's the same, but I just in different line items. And I did have in personal services, because I had someone that cleaned our building. I don't know how that's going to be over here too, if I provide, if it's going to be split up. I don't know how that was going to be either.
We have
So.
our own custodian over here now.
Massage therapist.
Right, but I didn't know if I was supposed to pay for part of that or not. So I just kept it the same, so maybe there'll be changes once we figure things out.
There'll be a little bit of adjusting to it.
Right.
Just looking down through there, like when you get to the utility line, now, not all of the utilities they pay out of theirs are what we were talking about over here, because they do pay currently water, electric, things like that.
Gas, yeah.
And gas, but the phones are also in that line item.
Yes, I pay them.
So that can't completely go away even if we reduce it some because they'll still be paying for their phones, their internet service.
Right. Right.
So just don't think that utility line could completely go away. But
Correct.
As we get farther into this with the sheriff budgeting for utilities, then do you have an issue if I just get back with you and say, okay, how much can we come down on that line and reduce the budget by that amount?
No, just, yeah. Because if it's going to be different, then that can easily be adjusted.
Thank you for working hard on it.
Sure. Any questions?
Is that legal defense? Is that like your court-appointed lawyers? Is that what?
It's our court-appointed lawyers, and then we have conflict attorneys as well, that if someone, we just have 3 attorneys that cover.
Right.
And so we have a lot of child in need of care cases that require several attorneys. And sometimes we have to go outside and pay them an hourly wage. And so that's included in that as well.
And on that line item, I would just add, we have not yet
awarded contracts. The bids are, I think, back, most of them. We were kind of holding off until our judge. But the other thing is, as a district, we're getting 2 additional district judges. And I'm hoping those come soon. You all were kind enough to get Mr. Schneider appointed very quickly. I don't know what Gary did, but I told him, and then 2 days later he told me. So we're hoping to get that commission seated quickly and get that moving forward so that those 2 judges can be in place. Neither of those judges will have their home chambers here. I'm going to put one in Bourbon and one in Miami just because the way the caseload works out. But I anticipate lawyers applying for those who maybe have also been on the contract. So I'm kind of holding off. I can't wait too long, but I kind of wanted to wait and see how that process goes. And if it doesn't move forward fairly quickly, we're going to make some
There's 3 on the contract. You said the lawyer, the court-appointed lawyers. There's 3 of them.
We have 3, yes.
So I promise we are going to put that second program to good use.
Good.
Yes. We are excited to move there.
Moving it around.
The building is extremely nice.
Yes.
Good. So I'll make a motion to tentatively approve the proposed budget for the district court in the amount of $200,500.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.
Yeah, I told him I
You have anything else, David?
Don't believe I do. I think that's
Gary? Nope. You have got anything?
Nope.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Oh, well,
Whoa.
Yeah, you won't, you're not gonna adjourn.
Oh, I guess that's right. I keep forgetting that.
You'll
Let's go tour.
you'll take your tour and then
Yeah.
you adjourn from over there.
Just adjourn from when we get done?
Yep.
Okay.
Unless you got something else you're gonna do back here. I don't think we do.
Nope.
You want to go over now?
Let's go. Damn.
So you just plan on adjourning when you're done? Sounds wonderful.
I'll leave my stuff here and come back and get it.
No, I'm proud of you.